If you want to go ahead and start. Awesome. Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started. I know we're on for an hour, but gonna, as always, try and give you time back at the end of your day. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's good to see some new faces on the call, but this is the second conversation about city engagement in the Adams County opioid response effort. So thanks for being on camera. If you can, I've already said this behind the scenes, but I'm joined by Ashley Enninger and Ben Nash from the Rocky Mountain Partnership team. We're working behind the scenes. We'll be synthesizing in real time, adding links in the chat. So know that that is happening, and we will be putting together a post-session packet for all of you to have with a summary of everything that was decided today. So let us know. It's not a big group, but please stay on mute unless you're talking, and you should be able to raise your hand. Working. We are going to ask for feedback at the end. So just giving a heads up, we do look at that. Thank you for those of you who filled this out last time to improve sessions. So just know that that is coming. And we are on webinar today to follow the Colorado Open Meetings Law. Everything is posted on the Rocky Mountain Partnership website. If there are any folks streaming the webinar, we do have a way to for them to submit questions via Menti. And so Ashley will be monitoring that on the back end, and we'll lift them to the team if anything does come through. Today, we really have two big deliverables. The first is to select city representation for the open voting seat and the two alternate seats on the Adams County Regional Opioid Council, and gain consensus on some principles for voting members to follow for time-sensitive decision-making. We're going to do a recap of what we talked about last time, but this was something that the group decided they wanted to have in place. And so we have a list to build from and hopefully get consensus on what that needs to be moving forward. So for our agenda, we're going to do a welcome and check-in, review decisions made in last meeting, and then go right into selecting voting members and alternates, and then gain consensus on those principles and talk about next steps. So for our check-in, I would love to, I'll just go round robin and call on folks if that's okay. And if you can just share your name, the municipality you're with, and your role there. And if there's anything that I didn't outline in the agenda that is top of mind for you that you would like to make sure we talk about today. So I will hand it over. Actually, I'm going to hand it over to Councilmember Padilla and then let you popcorn to someone else.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm Peter Padilla. I'm on the City Council from Brighton, Colorado, and I was named to this regional council back when we were only going to have one municipal representative, and so was part of trying to arrange to make sure that we had some additional municipal representation in the regional council meeting. One thing that I'll share with you is that at the Brighton City Council meeting last night, we did make the determination to put our city allocation for the opioid settlement into the regional fund pool. So we made the determination that we will not do an individual approach for the city of Brighton. We will participate in the regional fully. So anything not outlined on the agenda, the thing I would simply say is that there are many, many people who have a good and vested interest in this cause and want to participate. And I hope that that continues through all of the 18 years of this program. We will do our best first to make sure that even those people who don't necessarily sit as a voting member on the council have an opportunity to provide feedback, input, and participate in guiding those of us who need to make votes in making sure that we're representing the municipal interest appropriately across all of the region. So I don't know exactly what mechanism and how we will choose who sits in the three available seats with the multiple people who are interested, but I hope that that interest continues even if you are not necessarily one who sits in one of those seats at this moment. We have a desire and a plan to do some rotations so that there's consistent representation, but consistently new opportunity for people to participate, and there will be plenty of opportunity for your voices. So that's really what's on my mind going in today. And I will bounce it over to Councilman Garcia to introduce yourself next.
Hi, I'm Eric Garcia. I'm a council member for the city of Thornton. And I'll pass it on to Jim May.
Thanks, Eric. Jim May, I'm the police chief here in North Glen. At the last chiefs meeting, I asked and they granted me to represent the chiefs and sheriff of Adams County on the board. So I'm very thankful they did that, and I look forward to working with everybody. I'm not following the rules. Okay, I'll pass it off. I see Councilmember Brown.
Hello, my name is Becky Brown. I'm a council member for Ward 2 with the city of North Glen. I didn't see anything on the agenda that I didn't already want to participate in. Basically, for this portion of the show, that's what I have. Becky Brown, city of North Glen. And I'm a little nervous.
We're very nice. Don't be nervous.
This is near and dear to my heart and very exciting opportunity. So I am a little nervous.
Well, thank you for being here, council member. Would you like to pass it to someone?
Let me look at my little arrow going down. I will popcorn this out to Jackie.
Hi, I am Jackie Halbert. I'm the city manager for the city of Federal Heights, and we are very happy to be part of this process. And I will pass it on to our Mayor Pro Tem, Doris Peterson.
Thank you very much. I am happy to be here and hopefully can do some good on this panel. And I do not have any idea who to pass it on to.
Well, then I will go ahead for you and pick on Mayor McNally.
Thank you.
Nancy McNally, Mayor of Westminster. I just want to continue to learn and listen, and I'll pass it to Matthew Munch.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everybody. Matthew Munch, Assistant City Attorney with the City of Westminster. I have been coordinating the opioid litigation for the City of Westminster so far on this. I'm very happy to continue to be involved and help out in whatever way I can. Thank you very much. Oh, because it came up, Westminster has chosen to opt in, retain its direct local government funds, but we are still very much interested in participating in the region, as this is very much a regional problem, and what affects one of us is absolutely going to affect the other one. So I expect you'll be seeing a good deal of participation from Westminster, hopefully in a productive way, to raise all boats. But we have opted in, and we will also be retaining our own settlement funds.
Thank you, Matthew. And Matthew Court.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Court. I'm an assistant city attorney with the city of Thornton. I've also been helping coordinate the opioid litigation with our city after the previous deputy city attorney who was kind of overseeing that found a different job. And so I've been coordinating with, again, city attorney's office, city manager's office, and now am going to just be involved in the city of Thornton's use of the funds. We've opted into receiving them and then spending them locally, but look forward to continuing the participation with this organization as well.
I think that is everybody. So thank you everyone for being here again. We'll keep us moving. I'm going to do just a quick recap from last meeting, and I do want to touch on a few things that a few of you brought up. So first off, the regional council structure and roles. The regional council does incorporate voting members with alternates, as well as an advisory committee. And so we do have a lot of content experts and community members with lived experience, some who hold formal roles within this space and some who don't, that are really interested in being involved. And so this is going to be kind of the ecosystem, if you will, and the roles within the regional council. I think you all know this, but voting members and alternates do have to be either elected officials or staff of a municipality. So we're all good to go with that. Congratulations, this is an update, but you already shared this, is that Chief May is the local law enforcement seat, joining Lee Von Hupfner from the District Attorney's Office as the other law enforcement voting seat. So this is the last of the 9 voting seats to be confirmed. The process that this group did determine or agree to last time to ensure the interests of all cities are represented is as followed. And I apologize, I'm going to, because I can't type and talk at the same time. Ashley, can you please send information to Heather Geyer so that she can log on? Thank you.
Absolutely.
The process to ensure that the interests of all cities are represented, knowing that there will be a rotation with voting members, is to identify ahead of time what municipal interests and priorities look like as the work moves forward, and regularly determine how to take those into account. So those 2 voting members will definitely have close communication with all cities within Adams County. And then what we'll be talking about today is that set of principles that voting members will be able to rely on when there are time-sensitive decisions, if that does come up. Also providing an opportunity for municipal input ahead of every regional council meeting. Those meetings are open to the public, we've said this before, but everybody who wants to be involved in this effort is invited to be involved in this effort. And so able to participate in those meetings, but then also will have those opportunities for input ahead of time. Councilmember Padilla, is there anything that you would add to this process that we talked about?
No, I think that's perfectly fair, but I would just repeat and underscore the point that when we know a decision is going to need to be made at one of the original council meetings, the 2 people who are going to attend and vote will make certain to reach out to a representative from each of the municipalities to make sure you're aware of what it is we're going to need to make a decision on, and to make sure that we have an opportunity to receive your input into that decision. So it may also be that you will be there present at the meeting as a guest attending, because it's in public, but we want to make sure that we have a chance directly to get your input before we go into that meeting.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about this before we move on? Okay. All right, the criteria for voting members. So this was decided last time as well. Voting member number 1, 2-year term, currently filled by Councilmember Padilla. The second voting member will be a 1-year term, but will be renewable. And the idea there is to stagger the terms so that we're able to ensure that there's always a voting member with experience. And just something for you all to note is we are working with the Adams County Attorney's Office on an IGA, and this is a modification that we're working on, including in that. So we'll talk about the timeline for that in a moment. Alternates will be first considered for open voting seats when those terms are up as they become available. But of course, there's that renewable process. And then this is the point that I wanted to make, was that the group agreed not to include a criteria around suburban or rural communities, or the decision to opt in or out of local allocation. I think Matthew said this, is that it is a regional effort, and 60% of the funds that are coming in are allocated to the region, of which, of course, every municipality is a part of. So just really doubling down on that and saying that that is not a prerequisite for consideration here. Councilmember Padilla? I thought I cut you off.
I think, nope, no, I think you got that. Definitely, we realize that this is an 18-year settlement. This is an ongoing effort. I think of the concept of choral breathing when you're singing in a chorus and have a very, very long phrase. Sometimes you can't necessarily make it to the end of the phrase yourself. If you don't take time to breathe, you're not going to get to the end. This is a marathon, so we want to make sure that we are rotating people in with some fresh energy, taking advantage of continuing experience, and making sure that we are in this for the long haul.
Awesome. And I just want to take a minute and recognize and welcome. We have North Glen City Manager just tapped on, and the Interim Police Chief of Federal Heights. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
All right, so the process for identifying voting members that was agreed upon, there's 2 for this current first round. As you all know, applications were sent out. We received 4 back. We'll be looking at those in a moment. And that, of course, you're coming back today to select who will serve. And so each city that's represented on here, which we have North Glen, Thornton, Westminster, Federal Heights, and Brighton, will each get one submission, if you will, on your ranking of those 4 applicants. We'll have an interactive process to be able to see those in real time, and use that to determine this for this time. Ongoing, as I've already said, alternates will first be considered for open voting seats as they become available, knowing that those are staggered. So I'll walk us through the process a little bit for that in a second, but any thoughts or questions here?
Yeah, just one thing to add here, Jody. Again, because it's elected officials and there is a 2-year term for the alternate, we do need to make sure that any applicants are going to or have a term. Any elected officials looking for that 2-year term have an elected term that covers that same period of time. We don't want to have anybody who might be up for election next year take a 2-year term with the potential that you might choose to retire rich and not run for re-election, or that something else might happen. So just take that into consideration when you're considering whether you want to be in the 1-year term or the 2-year term.
All right, that's a great point, Ashley. We'll capture that. Thank you. Good call out. All right, so for selecting representatives today, we've already gone over this, but for the alternates, one will be a 2-year alternate and one will be a 1-year alternate. And again, just so that they reflect those 2 seats. We have 4 applicants. I've already kind of gone over this, but the process will be when we open this up, I'll ask who is going to represent each city and putting those in. But we're thinking that the first, whoever's is ranked first would be offered that voting seat, followed by the 2nd and 3rd for the 2-year and 1-year alternate seats. If we have any ties, I mean, we have some time and we can absolutely answer questions and have some dialogue and always kind of redip and see where we fall. And just to say again and again that regardless of who is a voting member or alternate, that everybody is encouraged and engaged to be in this effort. So we're really, really excited to have everybody here and honestly excited to have so many people that are interested in being involved. So these are the applicants. Everybody should have received a pre-session packet with the responses that everyone put in there. And so I'm going to pause. Ashley's going to put a link for you all in the chat to vote. But before anybody submits anything in there, does every city know who is going to be representing them and actually submitting rankings? Everybody's nodding. Okay, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 submissions that we're looking for, Ashley. And before we open that up, does anybody have anything that they would like to ask or say before we open it up and kind of look and see where folks are sitting at right now?
Who are the 5 voters? I mean, not the names, but the cities.
North Glen, Thornton, Westminster, Federal Heights, Brighton.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And I don't know who the humans are, so I'm trusting you, but we'll look and make sure that there's 5. All right, so I am going to go over here. So you should all see a voting link in the chat. And Ashley, if I'm correct and I have the right screen up, as those come in, these names may move to rank as they come in. Is that right?
That is correct.
So they're in here because that's the order I put them in here. But I will give you all just a few minutes to do that. Ashley, can you open this up on your end and just tell me when we've hit 5?
Yes, I can. I'm
Or maybe
also
it'll-
going to drop the.
There it is.
Councilmember Garcia and I did not coordinate beforehand about who is casting the vote for the city of Thornton. So I'm just going to throw it out to Councilmember Garcia and ask if you have cast a vote or plan to.
No, I haven't, Matt. You go ahead. Yeah, you were assigned to do that. Up to you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It looks like we're just waiting for one more. There's 5.
We
Okay.
have all 5 votes.
Oh, and I can see that there's a little name in there right now. So, okay, I'm gonna pause and just open this up. I actually would like to pass it over to Council Member Padilla. If you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to say as we go through these.
No, I don't have any specific thoughts, except that I'm so glad that people stepped up and were willing to put this effort in, and I'm very excited to work with the entire set of you. So I'm hopeful that this group of what are we, 12, 14 people will have frequent conversation as well over the course of this.
Okay. So it looks like Councilmember Garcia, you will be will offer you, if you accept in this meeting, the 1-year voting member seat. And then Mayor Pro Tem Peterson from Federal Heights will be the 2-year alternate. And Councilmember Brown from North Grand will be the 1-year alternate. And then of course, opening those up for voting seats in the future. Awesome.
And we will also, Councilman Garcia, it'll be incumbent on the two of us to make sure that if we're unable to attend a scheduled meeting, that we are making sure that one of the alternates is able to attend in our place. So that's probably not unusual or didn't need to be said out loud, but I always like to state the obvious.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I do accept. Thank you guys so much. Very dear to my heart, and I'm definitely gonna go forward with this with passion and just full effort to make sure that these funds go where they're really needed. So thank you again so much.
And Jody, can you tell us the expectations of the alternates? Do they attend the meetings and only vote if needed, or they don't need to attend? What are your expectations?
So alternates would only be required to attend if one of the voting members wasn't able to in order to actually vote. However, always invited to attend, always, like any meeting that they would be interested in. And I guess
I would suggest more than invited, welcome and encouraged.
Thank you.
These are likely to be pretty lively conversations. And I would say that it is going to be important to make sure that we have a chance to check in with each other. In particular, Jody, we want to make sure that we get an invitation out to the August session out as quickly as possible, because we do want to make sure that we are learning as much as possible and ready to speak up as quickly as possible. And I know that those dates are on my calendar. I just don't have that page up.
Oh, and we'll go over that. Don't worry. And everyone actually should have already received that, but I will be sending it again and talking about some next steps here. So absolutely. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Any other questions? All right. Let me bop back over here. So now we want to talk about those, really the principles for voting members. And Ashley, I'm going to let you kind of scribe in here so folks can see we're capturing that in real time. Peter, I'd actually love to hear from you to bring to life a little bit more about this. And I know that you've been able to give some draft points for us to build off on. Would you like to bring those to life for the group? And we can add anything that might be missing.
I figured that it wouldn't hurt for us to have some principles of what's important to the municipalities in general as we go into those meetings. Again, we're going to provide every opportunity we possibly can to get input. But I think of this similar to the principles that we've given the CML Policy Committee, for instance, that CML is interested in making sure that we retain local control as much as possible. So that was the sort of the thought process. And I'll read these just to give a little bit of color to them, that we value local input for the region. We want to make sure that we seek engagement before decisions are made, that we understand where we stand, that we balance the kind of communities we have to serve in the region. All of us who have been selected to serve are closer to first-tier suburbs than we are to our exurban and rural relatives within the region. So we want to make sure that we're balancing the needs of smaller communities like Bennett, Strasburg, as we look at the region. We want to seek a range of partnership types. I wouldn't want to have all of the money go to one kind of service or one kind of agency in in this organization. We want to make sure that the services are available close to home, close to where the people who need those services may be retained, so that we don't necessarily require people to travel from rural areas to the heart of Thornton to receive services. I was speaking to somebody about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it occurred to me that sometimes our means of communication with the people who are in need make the assumptions that people look at our websites or look at a social media site, and perhaps we need to think about the people who are most in need and what communication tools will reach them, and then make sure that the decisions that we make as a regional council serve the demographics for this region, socioeconomic, racial, ethnic, age-based, education, those things. So it occurred to me that if we have some principles in mind when we go into the meetings, then when we look at specific choices and need to decide between spending between certain agencies, we have some idea where we stand and what we value as an organization. So that was the idea behind this list. But it's certainly not exhaustive. It's open.
I'd love to open it up to the group and see what thoughts everyone has. Do you love this list? And would you change anything about it? Would you add anything to it? So I'll open it up. Not hearing anything. Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Brown.
Look, I raised my hand. I think this is a really clear starting point. You know, I think as we continue to go through, we can add more things to it, but I think this is a great platform to jump off of and start the process.
Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna move us then to gaining consensus. Last time we did this, thumbs up emojis just kind of floated on since we're on a webinar and I don't know how to associate that with folks. I'm gonna ask you old school to give me a thumbs up if you're in agreement with this, knowing of course to your point, Councilmember Brown, that we can add to it if we need to. Sideways if you're not really sure and you think that there's some questions that have to be answered, or down if you're a hard no. So it'd be 1 thumbs up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And welcome back. So Mayor McNally, do you have a thumbs up, sideways, or down?
I can't find the emojis on my screen, so
That's okay, you can just
yes,
say it.
I'm a thumbs up.
Okay, awesome. And Matthew Munch, I know you got lost for a second and you're back on. I don't know if you're caught up, but do you feel comfortable with this list of principles? Might have lost Matthew. And I see that we also have Greg Mills just joined. So welcome, sir. Okay, it looks like we have consensus on thumbs up on those. So we will keep that door open. If there's anything that comes up that needs to be added, that sounds great. But as promised, it looks like we are going to be able to give you some time back this evening. So next steps, as Councilmember Padilla said, on August 12th, we are having the next regional council meeting. It is in person at the Adams County Human Services Building on 120th. We will be providing lunch at the front end of that meeting, but really will, and actually these deliverables have been updated, so I apologize, but we'll be supporting you all as voting members to make the decision, but all interested stakeholders to really gain consensus on what are the measurable targets that you want to see met over the next 2 years. And so our team right now is putting together some draft recommendations just based on our understanding of the data. As you all know, we do have an interactive data dashboard that helps bring to life this crisis. So you'll be getting a pre-session packet with that information. We'll also be asking you a lot of the input that you've already decided you'll be gathering from each other, which includes what are your priorities for each entity, each municipality, but also all of our content experts and nonprofits. We'll be getting that information from them so that we can do a real deep dive with you on the 12th to bring to life the 5 priority areas that are outlined in the 2-year plan by the AG's office, harm reduction, treatment, recovery, criminal justice, et cetera. So you'll get a lot of information ahead of time. We'll be asking you your opinions and your thoughts and your priorities ahead of time so that we can hopefully walk away from the 12th with a decision on what percentage you all as a council would like to allocate dollars to within those 5 areas. Of course, the caveat then being is if that changes, the AG's office is very flexible in meeting the needs, so it's not actually set in stone. So that's what's slated for the 12th. In your post-session packet, you will receive an RSVP link for that if you haven't already signed up. So we hope to see all of you there. And then the following week, Monday and Tuesday of August 15th and 16th, the Attorney General's office is hosting their first annual Colorado Opioid Settlement Conference. The in-person seats are filled, but there is a virtual option if you're not already registered and you would like to be. I will put that information in the packet as well, so you can sign up for the virtual option. And I think that I'm not sure what to expect. It is the first one, but I understand I'll be talking about best practices and maybe just an opportunity to hear what's percolating in some of the regions already, knowing that most regions are still working on their 2-year plans. And then for the rest of August and September, the 2-year plan will be submitted to the Attorney General's office. That's due on September 15th. If you have seen the template, it is available on their website. They ask a lot of questions, but know that the only thing that's actually due is those allocations. So it's a little less daunting than it appears. We also, as I mentioned, are working on getting the IGA where it needs to be, and we'll be sending that out and asking for signatures. We're hoping by the end of September is a realistic timeline, but can always revisit that if it doesn't work for a municipality. We're working hopefully to get that out as soon as possible. And we'll have more information on the 12th on a more concrete timeline for that. And then by September, after that plan is submitted to the AG's office, the intention is to accept letters of intent. So for entities who would like to apply within those boundaries, the Rocky Mountain Partnership team will be working with those entities to really scope and highlight where there are opportunities for combined joint applications. Really, the point is we want to not do business as usual and do everything that we can to avoid siloed work. The whole plan would be that dollars are getting out the door by the end of the year, and that the voting members would be officially making determinations on those proposals in November, December. I just talked a whole lot at you. Does anybody have any questions about what's coming up? Seeing some shaking. Okay. If you do, you know how to get a hold of me, and I am so happy to answer any questions that come up. Before Ashley drops the chat or the link to the survey in the chat for this session, I would love to, again, now I'm not even going to go round robin, just in the chat or out loud. Your ticket out of here to get 30 minutes back today is just one word. Love to hear how you are feeling about where we landed today and moving forward with this exciting work.
I am encouraged.
I'm a rule breaker. The mayor will confirm I never use one word when I could use 2.
I see optimistic,
So
grateful,
true.
hockey, excited. Oh, sorry, Mayor Mills.
I was just confirming so true of my count.
Static. Awesome. All right. Well,
Hopeful.
can you say that one more time?
I said hopeful.
Hopeful. Okay. Did we miss anybody?
I'm just going to add one out loud, blessed to be part of this in whatever way that I can. I'm sure that you all read my application, but we've gone too far, too long without some support out there, Little caveat about me is that you can look at my bag and find Narcan there. I give it to people, I give it to addicts because if you had experience, which I think all of us have, the 4 that we're applying today, we can spot an addict a mile away, a heroin addict, a meth addict, or whatever. I will give Narcan out to those who are heroin addicts because there's just so much happening in the world. So I am blessed to at least be an alternate on this wonderful panel, and I look forward to seeing what work we all do together.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. All right, well, Ashley's put the link to the exit survey in there. If you wouldn't mind just giving us some input, so we can also always be continuously improving on our end. We really appreciate it. And we are happy to give you a few minutes back today. And I will see you, Councilmember Padilla, at another meeting in about an hour.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you, Jody.
appreciate
Thank
all
you,
your
Ashley.
help today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
All right, Ashley, do you want to go ahead and stop the recording?